Struggling mom discovers life-changing support as CEO steps in to cover her $30 baby formula. On an ordinary Tuesday morning in the small Midwestern town of Maplewood, Sarah sprinted through the grocery store. The air was thick with the scent of crisp autumn leaves as laughter from neighborhood kids echoed outside, a bittersweet reminder of the joyful childhood she yearned to create for her own two little ones. With one eye on the clock, she pushed her cart with desperation as she made her way to the baby aisle, her heart pounding like a drum. She knew she had precious minutes before her shift at the diner began, and that $30 baby formula waited for her like a looming shadow, but as Sarah reached the shelf, the weight of the world pressed down on her. The price tag felt like a cruel joke. She bit her lip, feeling tears sting her eyes. How would she provide for her children? Each dollar counted, yet here was a wall she couldn't scale. The emotional battleground raged within her. She desired to be strong, self-sufficient, and never to feel like she was failing as a mother. Asking for help felt like a betrayal of her values, the very values she held close like a shield. Yet, the tight-knit community she lived in echoed with the support she often rejected. Just then, an idea struck her, a wish to share her story. That snap of resolve led to local reporters approaching her. Cameras captured her, threading her tale of struggle through the airwaves. The story reached millions, and suddenly, out of nowhere, the CEO of a baby product company, a man with deep roots in her town, extended an olive branch. He would cover the cost of her formula every month, putting Sarah's life on a public stage with bright lights shining down. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Mixed feelings swirled within Sarah. Was this kindness something to embrace, or did it signal a surrender? This outpouring of support from the community ignited conversations in coffee shops across town about the balance of corporate responsibility versus personal merit. Yet, in her heart, doubts flickered like candle flames. Was she now a charity case, no longer the fiercely independent mother she strove to be? As she walked home, the weight of her decision loomed larger. Would she allow herself to accept help without losing her identity? In her chest, a tightness grew, a blend of pride, gratitude, and anxiety swirled into a whirlpool of confusion. Just as she reached her front door, a message blinked on her phone, an invitation for a meeting with the CEO. Sarah stood still, mind racing. Would she step into that office and risk revealing a vulnerability she had fought so hard to protect? Or would she cling to her pride and refuse the very kindness that could lighten her load? The horizon stretched before her, full of questions that lingered in the autumn air, ripe for answering. Would she embrace the help offered, or continue her relentless struggle against mounting odds? The uncertainty twisted in her stomach as she took a deep breath, knowing that whatever the choice, the journey ahead would define more than just her life, it would shape the lives of her beloved children. The sun dipped lower on the horizon, painting Maplewood in hues of orange and pink as Sarah stood frozen at her front door. The invitation from the CEO glowed like a beacon on her phone screen, its brightness a contrast to the shadows creeping into her mind. Every inch of her screamed to decline. Was it safe to enter that world, one filled with wealth she couldn't fathom? But then a sweeter voice whispered from the depths of her heart. This was about her kids. The beautiful faces of Mia and Jake filled her mind, their innocent laughter forming a symphony that echoed with the desire to protect them, to give them what every child deserved, a stable life away from worry and shame. Taking a deep breath, she glanced back at her modest home, where the smell of mac and cheese filled the air, a simple dinner she had prepared with lovingly outstretched hands, a meal crafted from the few dollars she'd racked together. This was what she could afford, this was her life. A sharp pang of fear washed over her. Would she lose this simple serenity in a place that felt foreign and vast? Resolute, she stepped inside, her finger hovering over the message for a moment longer before finally tapping accept. The decision echoed through her, a ripple effect changing the direction of her anxious energy into a determined spark. Composure settled as she resolved to hear him out, just to see where the road would lead. The next day, Sarah found herself seated in a sleek office with polished wood and soft leather chairs that looked impossibly out of place against her worn jeans and a simple sweater. The CEO, Mark Jensen, was everything she imagined, a mix of charm and authority, a man whose face glowed with warmth. His smile eased some of her tension, revealing hints of the kid who once chased fireflies in Maplewood just like her own. "Sarah, thank you for coming," he said, his voice calm, inviting her to speak even as he led into the topic with ease. "I know things have been tough for you, and I want to help in any way I can." Her heart quickened as she wrestled with two conflicting emotions, gratitude and skepticism. "I appreciate that, really. But I'm just trying to do my best for my kids." "I admire that." He leaned forward, intent. "But you don't have to do it alone. Our community matters, and sometimes it takes a hand to lift someone up, not diminish them." For the first time in ages, Sarah let herself feel the weight of what was being offered. But she couldn't let go of the sting of pride, it burned like a fire in her belly. "I know it's a generous offer, but I don't want to become a charity case. I need to stand on my own 2 feet." Mark nodded, understanding written all over his face. "All I'm asking is for you to see it as a partnership. You have a voice, a story that's already changing lives." The walls she had built around her began to fade at his words. Just then, a spark of something she hadn't felt in a long time flickered within hope. She could be part of a change bigger than herself, a part of something that illuminated the struggles of others. But with that came a sobering realization: accepting help might change her more than she was ready for. Before she left the office, Sarah glanced back at him. "What if I say yes? What will they expect from me in return?" He smiled gently. "Just be you, Sarah. Your story matters, and whether you know it or not, it has the power to inspire. Think about it." Walking out, her heart danced with the hum of a new possibility while uncertainty shadowed her steps. The upshot of vulnerability mingled with hope felt like wings unfolding, yet the daunting thought lingered: what would she have to give up to embrace the light being offered? As autumn leaves spiraled around her on that brisk afternoon, Sarah pondered her next move. Accepting help could transform everything. The question was, would she be brave enough to step forward into the light, or would she shrink back into the shadows she had grown so accustomed to? The moment of truth loomed closer. Would she grasp the opportunity for something greater, or would fear remain her tether? A few days passed, and Sarah could hardly shake the weight of Mark's words. They echoed inside her like a persistent hum, nudging her to consider everything she'd ever wanted: a secure home for her children, a stable life free from constant worry. Yet doubt peppered her thoughts. Did she really have the strength to step into this new world? Would her kids feel the absence of their mother's cautious nature if she dared to unearth new opportunities? That evening, she sat at the kitchen table, a plate of mac and cheese steaming before her. Mia and Jake were at her feet, plates piled high with food, blissfully unaware of the storm swirling in their mother's heart. "Yum, Mommy!" Mia squeaked, a bright smile lighting up her face. Watching her daughter's joy, a wave of warmth washed over Sarah, if only momentarily. After dinner, as the children finished their dessert of frozen yogurt, Sarah pulled out her phone, scrolling through social media. The local community page buzzed with chatter about an upcoming fundraiser, Mark Jensen's face plastered on a flyer. It was a benefit for families struggling with basic needs like food and clothing. Her heart sank. She couldn't help but wonder how many people these kinds of events truly reached, and if they really made a difference, yet she knew deep down that this also reflected who she was: a fighter for her children, a desire to be part of something greater than herself. She rose from the table, feeling that spark of hope again. "Hey guys, want to do something fun?" she called, and the kids perked up, love and laughter replacing the nagging fear in her chest. With laughter echoing in the air, they made cupcakes, flour flying and frosting splattering everywhere. In that messy kitchen, Sarah felt a flicker of clarity spark in her mind. If stepping into the light meant crafting a better future for her kids, was she really going to let fear dictate her choices? The next day, Sarah found herself outside Mark's office again, heart racing. She needed answers, needed to know. As she stepped inside, she was prepared for all eventualities, both the good and the bad. Mark greeted her with a warm smile, that same reassuring energy radiating from him. "Sarah, I'm glad to see you again. Have you given any thought to our conversation?" "Yes," she breathed, taking a moment to gather her thoughts. I think I want to be a part of this. I want to believe that my story can make a difference. But I need to understand what this means for me and my kids. What are the expectations?" He leaned back in his chair, his expression thoughtful. "I want you to share your experience, perhaps through speaking or writing. If you can connect with others, they can see themselves in you. That's where the real impact begins." The weight of his words settled heavy yet empowering in her chest. Speaking in public felt daunting, maybe even terrifying, but the thought of having her voice heard for Mia and Jake's sake fueled something inside her. "What if I fail?" she asked, her voice a mere whisper. "You won't know until you try," Mark replied, sincerity shining in his eyes. "And if you fall, we'll pick you up together. That's what community is about." Sarah took a deep breath, summoning the courage that had bloomed inside her since their last meeting. This could be the beginning of something beautiful. But could she really open herself up to this change? That night, she lay awake, the stars shining outside her window. Doubts ricocheted in her mind while hope carved a new path in her heart. If she took the leap, how would her life, her kids' lives be different? The stakes had risen. Tomorrow carried the weight of transformation. But was she really ready to step into the unknown? Her heart fluttered as she considered what might come next, anticipating a leap that could redefine everything. The morning light streamed through the curtains, casting warm patterns across Sarah's cluttered kitchen. It felt like a new beginning, yet her heart raced with uncertainty. Today was the day she'd take a step into the unknown, fueled by the promise of change and the whispers of fear still clawing at her insides. As she prepared breakfast, the smell of crispy bacon filled the air. Mia and Jake's laughter danced around her, igniting a spark of happiness amid the turmoil. "Mommy, can I help?" Mia's little hands reached out eagerly as she climbed onto a chair, determined to mix the eggs. "Just be careful, sweetie," Sarah said, a smile spreading across her face. Watching her daughter, she remembered why she was even considering this leap into the dark. After breakfast, Sarah felt it was time to revisit Mark. Today, she would commit to sharing her story. She could feel the pressure building in her chest, yet a flicker of excitement chased the fear away. Arriving at Mark's office, she took a deep breath and knocked. The door swung open, and his friendly face greeted her like an old friend. "Hey, Sarah. Ready to talk?" Mark's enthusiasm was infectious. She nodded, feeling the weight of her guarded walls start to crack. "Yeah, I want to know how to do this," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "I want to share my story and help others, but I still don't know how. What if I'm not enough?" Mark leaned forward, his expression steady and sincere. "The power of your story lies in its authenticity. People connect with real experiences, with struggles they can relate to. You've overcome so much, that's what can touch hearts." "Okay," she said, her heart pounding. "I can do that. But how do I start?" "I'll help you," he assured her. "We have a community meeting next week. It'll have people from all walks of life, moms, dads, caregivers. You can ease into it, maybe share a small part of your journey." The thought filled her with both dread and determination. "What if I mess up?" "Then we laugh it off," he replied with a playful grin. "Everyone's there to support each other. It's about making connections." Feeling a rush of warmth and camaraderie, Sarah found the courage to imagine standing in front of those people, speaking from her heart. As she left the office, the world outside felt deceptively bright. She walked home lost in thought, replaying their conversation like a mantra. If she opened up, she could forge new paths for herself and her children, perhaps even change lives, starting with her own. At home, Jake tugged at her sleeve, drawing her attention back to the present. "Mommy, can we go to the park?" "Of course. Let us pack a snack," she replied, her heart lighter. While they enjoyed the sun and laughter at the park, a woman approached her, familiar with the struggles that Sarah had come to know all too well. "Hi, I'm Karen," she said, her eyes radiant yet weary. "I heard about the community meeting. I'd love to go with you." Sarah blinked, the timidity of her own courage mixing with the warmth of connection. "Sure. I'd really love that." As they conversed, Sarah felt the bond grow. She realized there was power in shared experiences, an undeniable strength that came from vulnerability. But just as she began to feel a sense of peace, a thought crashed down upon her: what if her past was too raw? What if it never really left her behind? That evening, after tucking the kids into bed, Sarah stared out her kitchen window, the night sky painted with shimmering stars. The fear poured back in, mixing with her hope. Was she prepared to take this leap? Tomorrow loomed large, bringing with it a step closer to everything she yearned for. Yet how could she overcome the weight of her own history? The moment was fragile, standing between the safety of the past and the uncertainty of the future. Would she be brave enough to let others into her story, or would her fears hold her back from the healing she desperately sought? The night wrapped around her like a cloak, and as doubt slipped in, she had to contemplate: what would tomorrow bring? The next morning arrived quietly, the sun peeking into Sarah's kitchen like a hesitant friend. She moved through her morning routine on autopilot, her thoughts still tangled in yesterday's revelations. The conversation with Mark and her fleeting connection with Karen echoed in her mind, stirring both excitement and lingering doubts. "Mommy! Look at me!" Jake's joyful voice broke through her reverie as he raced down the hallway, his mismatched socks barely keeping up with his energetic feet. She couldn't help but smile. Moments like these were precious, and they fueled the fire of her resolve. Today, she would have a small victory: a phone call to enroll in a story-sharing workshop. After the kids were fed and entertained with cartoons, she grabbed her phone. Her fingers hovered over the screen, anxiety bubbling beneath the surface. What if her fears spoke louder than her dreams today? Just as she was about to give in to doubt, her phone buzzed. A message from Karen popped up: "Hey. Thinking about today's meeting, are you still up for it?" A wave of calming reassurance washed over Sarah. "Absolutely. Let us do this together," she typed back, hitting send before she could change her mind. With renewed energy, Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. She glanced at the chaos scattered across her living room: toys, clothes, and memories from a life still in progress. It was all part of her story. It melted into the background as she focused on the moment. At noon, as the sun blazed outside, she arrived at the community center where the meeting would take place. Her heart pounded as she parked, each beat echoing the fear she thought she had buried. Stepping into the building felt monumental, like crossing a threshold into something bigger than herself. Inside, she saw a mix of familiar and new faces, each carrying their own stories, their own burdens. Mark spotted her and smiled, a beacon of warmth amid the chaos. The room buzzed with chatter, the kind that made the air feel electric. "Hey, Sarah!" he exclaimed, motioning her over. "This is our opener. Just some icebreakers to make everyone comfortable. We're all rooting for you." As she stood surrounded by supportive strangers, Sarah felt her shoulders drop a little. Maybe this could be a safe space. When it was her turn to introduce herself, the words felt like butterflies in her stomach. She started slowly, her voice trembling. "I'm Sarah, a single mom of 2. I am here to share my story because I believe it can help others." A wave of warmth washed over her as she saw heads nodding, eyes glistening. It was as if the room was cocooning her in a hug. She spoke about her challenges, her victories, and the journey that had led her here. Each word cracked open a layer of vulnerability she hadn't expected to show. Afterward, the floodgates of connection opened. People came up to share their stories, offering bits of their own struggles. Karen approached her, her eyes filled with admiration. "You spoke from your heart. It's so powerful to hear real experiences. I feel less alone." Just then, Sarah felt a shift within her. The weight of her history began to lighten, released by the simple act of connection. But just as she was starting to bask in this newfound freedom, her phone buzzed ominously. It was a notification from the news app. Local families struggle as baby formula prices skyrocket, many left in dire circumstances. Panic began to creep in again. What if she couldn't keep her children fed? What if sharing her story didn't change anything? Sarah's heart raced as she processed the urgency of the situation. She knew she couldn't let her past or her current fears derail her newfound momentum. Could she find a way to help others beyond just sharing her story? What if she could unite this growing community, not only to encourage each other but also to support families in need? As she left the meeting, her mind swirled with ideas. With each step toward her car, she felt the flickers of determination ignite anew. What could grow from this new sense of purpose? Would she be brave enough to act on it? With fiery resolve burning in her chest, she contemplated how she might pave the way for change. But deep down, a single question hung, stark and urgent: would she be able to step up for those who needed her most, including herself? The afternoon sun cast long shadows across Sarah's driveway as she sat in her car for a moment, still processing the surge of emotions from the meeting. It wasn't just the stories shared, it was the connection, the sense of community she had felt among those strangers. And yet, her heart weighed heavily with worry. The news notification felt like a dark cloud hovering above her renewed spirit. She took a deep breath and turned on the engine, her mind racing through ideas. What if she could gather people from the meeting, the ones who had stories, and together brainstorm ways to support families struggling to make ends meet? What would it look like to transform personal struggles into communal strength? "Mommy." A knock on her window jolted her back to reality. Jake's bright face peered in, his cheeks flushed with excitement. "Can we go to the park? Please?" Sarah couldn't resist the joy radiating from her son. "Okay, buddy. Let us go." At the park, she pushed Jake on the swing, their laughter mingling with the sounds of children playing, the warmth from the sun wrapping around them like a soft embrace. Each cheerful shout and squeal momentarily pushed her worries aside. She watched him swing higher, arms spread wide, as if he could fly. Watching Jake, Sarah grasped her own desire to soar, to rise above her fears and help others. It suddenly hit her, she wasn't alone. If she could rally others, if they could lift each other up, maybe they could create real change. As they left the park, a bubble of hope formed within her. She rushed to her phone, sending a group message to the workshop attendees. "Hi everyone. I was thinking, what if we could do something together to support mothers struggling with rising costs? Perhaps a community drive or food sharing? Would anyone be interested to meet and brainstorm?" Almost instantly, responses flooded in. "I'm in. Great idea. What do you have in mind?" The thrill of new possibilities surged through her veins. They might just be the change they were hoping for. That evening, the kitchen buzzed with the familiar sounds of family. Ava, her daughter, tugged at Sarah's shirt, eyes wide with curiosity. "Can I help with dinner, Mommy? I want to learn." With her daughter by her side, Sarah felt a warmth she desperately needed. As they chopped vegetables and stirred pots, Sarah shared snippets of her day, her excitement bubbling over. The reality of the struggle seemed a little less daunting when she focused on family and community. After dinner, Sarah scrolled through the messages again. They were brimming with suggestions and enthusiasm. Her heart swelled as she read. Ideas not only for a food drive but also for workshops on budgeting and resource sharing. She envisioned families coming together, exchanging stories and solutions while building a stronger network of support, but just as she began to dream of the potential, her phone rang, shattering the idyllic moment. It was an unknown number. She hesitated but answered it, her heart pounding in her chest. "Is this Sarah?" a serious voice asked. "Yes, speaking," she replied cautiously. "Hi, this is Laura from the local community advocacy group. I just saw your message about starting a support network. You wouldn't believe how many families we can connect you with. We'd love to partner." The words hung in the air, filled with promise and urgency. Could this be the connection she needed to turn her ideas into reality? Sarah's heart raced, a whirlwind of emotions swirling as possibilities began to unfold. "Yes, absolutely. I would love that. Let us meet." As she hung up, for the first time in a long while, hope felt tangible. But just as she allowed that anticipation to wash over her, a nagging thought crept back: and would her mission be enough to make a real difference? The path ahead was still shrouded in uncertainty, yet she was ready to walk it. And as she put the phone down, the idea of reaching out to potential partners filled her mind, a plan to not just help her community but to fortify their bonds through shared struggle and resilience. Could they pull together enough resources to make a significant impact? Who else could she reach out to for support next? The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over Sarah's home as she sat at her dining table, the plans she had drawn up spread out before her. Notebooks, colorful markers, and scribbled notes filled the surface, a chaotic mess of ideas swirling through her mind. Each word on the page felt like an anchor, grounding her in her purpose. She was determined to harness the momentum of her recent connections and transform them into something meaningful. Just then, Ava rushed in, her ponytail bouncing with each step. "Mommy, can I help with the decorations for our meeting?" Her innocent eagerness was infectious. Sarah couldn't help but smile. "Of course, sweetie. We can make this place look like a celebration." It was true, this wasn't just about sharing resources. It was about creating a vibrant space for people to feel welcomed, a place where hope could flourish. As they gathered markers and paper, Sarah shared her vision of the upcoming meetup. "We're going to help families, Ava. We're going to show them they're not alone." The thought excited both of them, yet the weight of uncertainty still loomed. Would her plans resonate? Would the families come? A series of cheerful giggles erupted as they cut bright streamers and hung them around the living room. There was a therapeutic rhythm in their activity, a joy in the collaboration that heightened Sarah's determination. But as the decorations neared completion, her phone buzzed again. "Hey, this is Laura," the voice was bright and energetic. "I spoke with a few community leaders after our last call. We believe in this project. I'd love to introduce you to some local food banks and others that could help us get started." Sarah's heart began to race. This wasn't just a call, it felt like a lifeline. "Thank you, Laura. That would be amazing." After hanging up, she turned to Ava, who was busy trying to reach a string of fairy lights. "You won't believe it, Ava. We might have actual food banks joining us. Does that mean we can help more people?" Ava beamed, her bright eyes wide with innocence. "Yes. That means we can help so many families in need." The evening unfolded quickly, full of laughter and joy, but in the quiet moments, Sarah found herself reflecting. What if it wasn't just about gathering resources? What if it became a platform for sharing stories, a moment for connection rather than just aid? The next morning, she felt a sense of urgency. She spent hours drafting another message, this time inviting participants to share their stories at the meeting, not just what they needed, but also what they could offer, their experiences, their strengths. But just as she pressed send, her heart dropped at the sound of sirens outside. She peered out the window to see an ambulance pulling up down the street. A knot formed in her stomach. She could feel the heaviness of her own worries creeping back in. Just then, she remembered something from the meeting, a powerful truth shared by one of the mothers: when we come together, we rise together. Sarah clung to that thought, pushing against the storm of doubts swirling in her mind. She took a deep breath and opened her phone again. This time, her fingers hesitated before she began typing another message. I want us to not only support one another, but also share our triumphs, our strengths. Before she could finish, the doorbell rang, jolting her. She opened the door to find Laura standing there, her face serious yet determined. I think we need to talk. There is something important you need to know about the resources available, and it's bigger than we imagined. For a moment, time stood still as uncertainty hung in the air. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest. What could be so big that Laura felt the need to come over personally? Let us talk, Laura urged, stepping inside. Sarah felt a wave of anticipation wash over her. She could sense change approaching, but would it be the change she was hoping for? What could this news mean for her mission, and how would it reshape the support system they were trying to build? Laura closed the door gently behind her, her expression a mix of urgency and hope. Sarah motioned for her to sit at the dining table, which was now a vibrant explosion of color. The decorations felt almost celebratory, not just for the upcoming meetup, but for the momentum blossoming between them. Laura sat down, hands clasped tightly in front of her. I met with some local businesses, Sarah. They're excited about supporting community initiatives like ours. It seems our project has caught the attention of more than a few people. Sarah could hardly contain her excitement. What do you mean? Are they willing to provide resources? Laura nodded, her eyes brightening. Yes. We could have donations coming in for food, clothes, even some local services. But there's more. A sense of caution tickled the back of Sarah's mind. What else? There's a larger organization, one that focuses on family welfare. They're interested in what we're doing, and they want to partner with us. Sarah's heart surged. So, you mean we're not alone in this? We could actually reach more families in need? Exactly. Laura exclaimed. And the support doesn't just stop there. They're also connecting us to a few grants that could fund our needs. We could organize events, provide workshops, even create a resource network for families. A lump formed in Sarah's throat. She wanted to believe it, but the weight of responsibility pressed down on her. What if we can't deliver? What if we don't have the manpower? What if? Sarah, Laura interrupted gently, placing a reassuring hand on hers. You've got this. You're building something real here, and you're not doing it alone. The community wants to help. That's the beauty of it. Tears pricked Sarah's eyes. I just want to make a difference. I want these families to feel like they have a place to belong. Laura smiled, the warmth spreading between them like a shared blanket. And you can. Focus on the stories, the connections. You already have a beautiful vision. Now, with this support, you can expand it. Together, we can create something unforgettable. Sarah took a deep breath. She could feel the flicker of hope igniting within her. What do we need to do next? We should hold a preliminary meeting to discuss roles and identify who can contribute. We'll invite those businesses and organizations to get an even bigger picture of what's possible, Laura suggested, her enthusiasm contagious. Yes. Sarah felt the spark of a new idea hit her. And we can invite those families to come and share what they need and what they can offer. It'll build trust and show they're an important part of this. Laura nodded, clearly impressed. That's brilliant. This isn't just a one-way street, it's going to be about community and collaboration. As they began brainstorming the details of the meeting, Ava peeked in through the doorway, her face beaming with curiosity. Can I help too? Absolutely, sweet pea, Sarah replied, her heart swelling with love. You're our secret ingredient. Ava bounced into the room, wrapping her arms around Sarah's waist. In this moment, as laughter mingled with hope and excitement, Sarah knew they were on the cusp of something transformational. But memories of the sirens outside lingered, a reminder that not everyone was ready to join the celebration. "Hey, Laura," Sarah said, her voice dropping slightly. "What about the families who may be too afraid to come forward? What if they're hesitant to ask for help?" Laura's expression turned serious. "That's a reality we have to consider. We need to create an environment where everyone feels safe and encouraged to participate. This can't just be about resources, it has to be about trust too. How do we make that happen?" Sarah felt a wave of apprehension rush over her. "First, we need to approach this with empathy. We'll incorporate stories they need to know they're not alone in this struggle. And if we can share our own vulnerabilities, it may bridge that gap," Laura said with conviction. Sarah felt warmth spread throughout her, a sense of purpose igniting once more. "You're right. It's not just about supporting families but also showing they belong. We can find a way to bring them in." As ideas swirled in the air, a realization hit her: this was the beginning of something profound, but the way forward could also be daunting. "Are we really ready for this, Laura?" she wondered aloud, balancing a mix of excitement and fear. Laura leaned in, a determined glimmer in her eye. "We have to be. It's time to rally our community. Let us show them what's possible." Sarah took another deep breath, feeling the weight of her dreams merge with the anxious anticipation of what lay ahead. But one question lingered, a question that echoed loudly against the hope they had created: would they be able to build the bridge of trust needed to invite the quiet families into their fold, or would the sirens still ring louder than their dreams of connection? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow through the dining room window, Sarah felt the warmth wrap around her like a comforting embrace. Yet, beneath that coziness lay an underlying anxiety. What if the families they hoped to help didn't feel the same warmth? What if they felt isolated and unheard? What's next on our to-do list? Laura's voice brought Sarah back to the present, her eyes bright with determination. "We need to create a welcoming space for our first meeting," Sarah suggested. "It should feel like home, inviting, safe, and open. If we make it feel like a gathering of friends rather than a formal meeting, maybe more families will come." "Yes." Laura's excitement bubbled over. "We can set up snacks, have little activities for the kids. Create an atmosphere that feels less intimidating." "Good idea. And we should definitely include speakers who can relate," Sarah added, feeling her own courage grow with every word. "If we have people share their stories, maybe it'll make others feel comfortable opening up too. Let us reach out to some local advocates who can speak on family welfare," Laura suggested, her eyes shining with inspiration. "We can share our own stories too. Vulnerability builds connection." Ava, still holding tight to Sarah, chimed in. "Can we have cookies? I like cookies." Sarah laughed, a lovely sound that melted some of the tension inside her. "Yes, sweet pea, we'll have cookies." Just then, the radio in the background crackled to life, and a news report about a rise in local family struggles played softly, a sudden reminder of the urgency behind their mission. "This is exactly why we need to act," she murmured. Laura nodded, her excitement dimmed slightly by reality. "We can't ignore those realities, but we'll bring that hopeful energy too. Every little bit counts." As they continued to plan, Sarah felt a newfound sense of direction. Each idea, each shared laugh, felt like they were laying bricks on the path to something meaningful. Still, the looming question remained: how to reach those who wouldn't show up, those who felt unheard and unseen. "I think we should also connect with local schools," Sarah suggested. "Maybe they can help identify families who need support but don't know how to ask." "That's a brilliant plan." Laura beamed, her face lighting up. "Schools are the heartbeat of our communities, they see what happens behind closed doors." With each step, Sarah felt hope growing, but she knew they had to be prepared for resistance too. She instinctively tightened her grip on Ava's hand, her little anchor. Just then, a knock interrupted their brainstorming session. It was Emma, one of their neighbors. Her eyes flickered with uncertainty as she stepped inside, glancing at the decorations that had filled Sarah's dining room. "Hey, Emma," Sarah called warmly. "Come on in. We're planning something exciting." "I heard you all talking," Emma hesitated, shifting in place. "I wanted to help, but I'm not sure how." "Every hand helps," Laura replied, her voice soothing. "We need help spreading the word and inviting families in. Would you like to join us?" A moment of silence lingered, and Sarah observed Emma's apprehension transform slowly into curiosity. "Sure, but I'm not good at organizing," Emma admitted, her voice a whisper. "You don't have to be perfect," Sarah reassured her. "Just being here is a step forward." Suddenly, the sirens wailed again from outside, a harsh reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. "What comes next?" Emma asked, looking between them, her voice trembling slightly. Sarah took a deep breath, her heart racing. "We take a leap of faith. We reach out, we listen, and we create together. Are you with us?" Emma nodded slowly, her resolve hardening. "Okay, let us do this." As they rallied together, a sense of unity began to form in the room, a hope kindled amidst the uncertainty. And yet, doubts loomed in the corners of Sarah's mind. What if their planning fell flat? What if their message didn't reach those who needed it the most? Would the community embrace them, or would the sirens drown out their message of hope? The day of the meeting dawned fresh and bright, as sunlight flooded into Sarah's kitchen. She couldn't shake the flutter of nerves. Today was not just a gathering, it was a hope-filled leap into the unknown, a chance to unite their community around stories, struggles, and shared strength. "Mommy, I'm ready," Ava called, bounding into the room with an armful of colorful banners and a smile that reminded Sarah of brighter days. "That's my girl," Sarah replied, kneeling down to tie Ava's shoelaces. The simple act grounded her in what really mattered. "Let South make this place shine." At the community center, familiar faces greeted her neighbors, families, and the new friendships they had forged. Emma and Laura were already busy setting up tables with foods and activities. The air buzzed with excitement and a tinge of anxiety. Would people come? As the clock inched toward the start time, Sarah paced. She caught the eye of Mark across the room. He looked supportive and encouraging, a pillar of strength amongst her fears. He raised a hand, giving her a reassuring nod. That small gesture steadied her heart. Slowly, the room began to fill. Families trickled in, eyes wide with curiosity and trepidation, just like hers. Sarah clenched the edges of the table, feeling her heart hammer in her chest. Was this the beginning of something strong? "Welcome, everyone." Laura's cheerful voice broke through the murmurs, drawing Sarah's eyes. "Thank you all for being here. Today isn't just about resources, it's about our stories." Sarah watched as families leaned in. There was something powerful in camaraderie. In that moment, she realized they were united in their struggles. She took a deep breath, her pulse pounding like a drum, and stepped forward. "Hi, I'm Sarah," she started, her voice firm despite the quivering in her heart. "I'm a mom just like you. There were days when I thought I'd crumble under the weight of everything, but I discovered we don't have to do it alone." Her authenticity resonated within the gathering. Faces around the room softened, nodding along with her. "I want this space to be one where we share not just our needs, but also our hopes, dreams, and experiences. Together, we can create a network of support." As she spoke, something shifted around her. A woman, tears glistening in her eyes, approached. "I'm Andrea. I felt so isolated coming here, but hearing you, it gives me hope." "Exactly, Andrea," Sarah replied, her heart swelling. "Together we can lift each other up. That's the aim." The meeting turned into a whirlwind of sharing and laughter, connections blooming like wildflowers through concrete. Sarah facilitated discussions, inviting stories, articulating struggles and solutions that glimmered like sunlight on water. As the night unfolded, each voice became a thread woven into the fabric of community unity. Families opened up their hearts, each story a testament to resilience, and collectively, they began to see the strength in vulnerability. Just then, her phone buzzed an alert from a local news station. Sarah hesitated, glancing at the notification. It read, "Local community unites to fight formula price increases, a call for action." Before her thoughts could spiral, she turned her attention back to the meeting. "Let's talk about action," she suggested, her excitement palpable. "We can organize a drive for essentials, food, clothing, whatever we gather. Let's pool it to help our neighbors." "Yes," echoed the crowd. Hands shot up, eager to volunteer for the cause. Everyone wanted to do more, everyone wanted to be part of the change. Days melted into weeks, and Sarah watched in amazement as the grassroots effort transformed their community, but not without obstacles. Nights were spent planning fundraisers, strategizing outreach, and gathering resources. Torn between excitement and worry, Sarah found herself awake with her thoughts racing. But every time doubt crept in, the laughter of Mia and Jake anchored her. Their innocent faces ignited a fire within her. She was doing this for them and for every other family who shared their journey. As the first big drive approached, Sarah's pulse raced. "Are we really ready for this?" she mused. But as she peeked out her window that morning, she saw neighbors arriving to help. Each person brought hope like flowers blooming in the spring. On the day of the drive, the community center overflowed with donations, boxes stacked high, and smiles greeted every face. She stood in awe, warmth streaming through her as she greeted new families joining their cause. As they packed food boxes, Sarah felt a profound transformation within herself. She was not just the struggling single mom anymore, she was a leader in her community, a voice amplified by countless others who had once felt unheard. "Hey, Sarah!" Laura called out, approaching with a familiar spirit radiating excitement. "We did it! This is only the beginning." Tears of joy filled Sarah's eyes as she scanned the room, laughter floated through the air, and for the first time, the weight on her shoulders felt like a shared burden, a collective endeavor. "It really is," she murmured, her heart overflowing with pride, and standing amidst their newfound strength, Sarah realized she was no longer just one woman fighting for her family. She was a mother among mothers, each of them woven together in a mosaic of resilience, unapologetically transforming their struggles into solidarity. As the last attendees packed their boxes, Sarah looked around, feeling a vibration of hope echo within. This was her community. This was a family. The sun began to set outside the center, casting a soft glow across the gathering, an omen of the brighter days ahead. The sirens that once threatened her spirit became a distant echo, replaced by laughter and connection, the essential song of human resilience. "Let's keep the momentum going," she said, pure joy bubbling in her spirit. "Because today, we are more than families, we are a force built on love, support, and shared dreams." A cheer erupted, and in that moment, Sarah felt a sense of belonging she had longed for. The tapestry of their stories woven together now shone brighter than the fears which once dictated their paths. With every rising sun, Sarah knew their journey wouldn't be easy, but it would be united. Trust had transformed their hopes into a powerful and beautiful reality. They would continue to rise, together. You need to subscribe now to this channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it truly makes a difference. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this emotionally impactful ending. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation unfold. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support. Only true fans understand the importance of rallying together.